Hi Virgo, this is your reading for July. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at what's going on for Virgo for July of this year. While I'm shuffling, take a moment here to check in with your higher self. Center yourself, tune in with your breathing, and ask your higher self to check in with my higher self so that we can create a feedback loop. That way the messages that you get will be tailored especially for you. So I'd ask that you please don't multitask at this time while you're watching this reading. I want to make sure that you get the most out of your time here and that you're not distracted by other things going on. So please set aside anything else that's happening, and you might also want to put headphones on so that you can really focus and pay attention to the messages that are coming through. So this is for Virgo, Sun, Moon and Ascendant, and cross watchers. Or if you happen to just be drawn to this reading and click on this link, then this reading is also for you, even if you're not a Virgo. One more. Okay. When I was putting the first few cards down, I was hearing estranged. I don't know who that's for. The bottom of the deck, you have the Four of Wands in reverse. And at the top of the deck, I just noticed here you have the Six of Cups in reverse. But both of these cards can be significant cards for relationships, marriage, soulmate connection, something like that. And in the main spread here, you have also the Ten of Cups in reverse, which could also be another type of marriage card or home life card. And being that both of these cards are in reverse, it could indicate that there is some changes in your home life or in your living environment where there could be some either dissonance or somebody moving out, something along those lines. But I don't feel like there's a lot of energy of that in this reading for everyone, so that could be a specific message for someone, because there isn't really any other cards in the reading that are kind of talking about separation energy or breakup energy, and the rest of the reading is actually really bright and positive and hopeful, and it includes kind of energy around a release from a difficult time or a difficult situation, and a kind of turning point here spoken about by with this Wheel of Fortune in the upright position in your position here with the Nine of Wands upright, telling me that there is a kind of motion here of kind of a transitional energy. It feels like a turning point kind of energy that did come up in the energy transmission that I did for all signs for the new moon this month. Just yesterday I did that reading. But I do feel that there's energy here around this time being, I'm hearing shedding. There's a turning point here. You have two nines in your reading. The Nine of Swords in reverse at the heart and the Nine of Wands here upright with the Wheel of Fortune. I'm seeing this as a release from a difficult time period, or a release from some kind of a difficult period where maybe you felt restricted or bound or limited either by contract to someone or by simply the nature of the circumstances that you've been under. Like factors that have been at play that have been working on you and with you to kind of, in a way, limit and restrict certain factors that you've been coping with or dealing with in a way that may have felt a little bit like you've had to kind of compromise or surrender or sacrifice some of your free will in order for a circumstance to play out. And I feel like that there's an ending of that here. There's a turning point here where that experience or those factors are changing, and there is new energy coming in, one which is a lot more light-hearted. There's more social energy, there's a more joyful energy, there's a greater feeling of like abundance and prosperity and luxury and comfort that's coming in now, this like next time period. I feel there's a greater like sense of community, greater contact with like social circles that's bringing a heightened sense of connectivity, and I'm hearing also wealth. So it feels like there is a turning point happening here where maybe people, not just circumstances, but people that you've been interacting with, there's like a kind of turnover point here where certain people may be falling away. There may be certain people that you've been connected to through work or through your personal interpersonal relationships that kind of moving out of your energy field in a way that their influence is not having as much of an effect on you, and new people are coming in that are going to be able to provide greater sense of like a quality of life, whether or not that actually means that you earn more money. But I feel like there's going to be people around you that are going to help you experience comfort and pleasure and luxury in a way that you may or may not have had experience with before. That's an interesting energy to tap into there. But I do feel there is like people coming into your life that are kind of going to expand and improve your general quality of life just by their presence. You know, it could be that you might actually come into contact with people that are a little bit more like wealthy than you, or have more to share, and they're very generous with you. But it could be like something that's not necessarily physical in terms of like actual physical resources, but there's a sensation here of people bringing to you a quality of life just through their nature, through the energy they hold, maybe through the way they conversate with you. It's like a very lofty, heightened experience of life that brings a sensation of being like, it's hard to explain, but it's a kind of luxury that's not necessarily about physical wealth or property or actual, you know, physical things, but it's a sensation of a higher quality of life through a state of being, through a state of mind, through a kind of way of communicating and a way of being, just a frequency and energy. So yeah, I'm seeing that there is some characters that may be moving away and kind of leaving your environment and having less of an impact on your day-to-day. And that's a beneficial thing, I feel. As I said, I mentioned earlier, I feel like there is some energy around restriction and limitation that has been kind of imposed upon you over the last, maybe even most of this year. And I feel like there's a turning point here with that energy kind of waning, and there's a feeling here of opening up more to greater sense of freedom, comfort, luxury, prosperity, abundance, all those things that I've already talked about. Now, in this position here, in this environment corner, you have the Ace of Swords reversed with the Five of Cups reversed. What is this? You have two aces, I just noticed that. There's the Ace of Wands here as well in the Hopes and Fears with the Ace of Swords in reverse. I feel there's something here about like there's maybe some like just ever so slight lingering or residual energy of like letting go in the, like there's some kind of emotional loss or an experience of some kind of regret or remorse or sadness over something that happened in the past that you simply need to be clear about it being okay as it is and moving on, because there's something here about maybe you are maintaining a space of lack or maintaining a space of regret or some there's a way in which that you're holding your energy because of the way you're still thinking about something from the past that really needs to be shed and let go and just like released, because keeping it active in your mind is in some ways kind of part of this limitation and restriction that I spoke about earlier. Okay. I hope that you understand what that means, because I don't know if I have more to say on that. I just feel like there may have been a topic or an issue or an event or circumstance, something that happened in the past that maybe didn't turn out how you had hoped. Maybe there was some disappointment or loss around it. But that sensation of loss or regret or whatever it is still alive because you haven't cleared it out of your mind It's actually not an emotional thing. It's a mind thing. It's the way you're thinking about something. I'm hearing remedy. I feel there's something here about needing to just clarify the mind about that experience and just accept and be okay with things playing out the way they did, and understand that you can't change it. The past happened. Whatever that experience was, or whatever that moment in time was, happened, and you can't take that back. So just rather than wasting time thinking about it and being regretful and remorseful, just accept that it happened and move on, and you'll be able to shift the energy that's kind of, there's some kind of holding energy there with that. So do your best to work with that energy around the memory of that thing, to kind of accept and be okay with it, and file it away so that you can move on. Because there's something residual there that's holding you in a kind of lack energy. There's a lack. Something there about lack. Now in the hopes and fears you have Ace of Wands upright with the Page of Pentacles. This is really cool. And then in the other outcome card positions you have Knight of Wands reversed with the Chariot. So how I'm seeing these two cards is that they're with this shifting energy, I feel like there's a kind of turning on. There's a turning on energy, like a light switch turning on. And it feels like there is a kind of awakening to a new energy of potential, and your ability to understand and realize that there is possibility for you in a new arena, in a new area of life where you may not have necessarily discovered yourself before. And I feel that what this is saying here is that you are sensing a kind of like new beginning in a way. But with this Page of Pentacles, what I'm feeling with that is that it's like you're holding the seed, and with that comes a kind of, it's like a youthful enthusiasm. It's not like the Page is not like the King. The King has experience. The King has mastered that element. The Page is kind of coming from this perspective of excited, and it's new, and it's like fresh and undiscovered yet. So that's what I'm feeling here in this quadrant with the hopes and fears, is that I sense that you are, I'm hearing turning point again. That turning point energy is very strong in this reading. It definitely feels like a polar shift in some ways for what has been for most of this year is done. We've definitely turned a corner collectively, but I feel for you there's definitely also this feeling of like you starting fresh with some new area of life that you have maybe even only just discovered that you've been interested in. It could be some, like I said, you may not have even seen yourself in this area before. It could be some kind of new kind of creative skill that you're wanting to learn about. That's why I feel like this is studying energy. It's a new discovery energy of moving into an area that you have so far not yet experimented with. And there's an energy here of patience and willingness to discover, and willingness to study, and willingness to learn, willingness to understand. And there's a lot of enthusiasm and vitality that comes with this Ace of Wands here. I like it. Outcome, you have Knight of Wands in reverse with the Chariot. So from the Page to the Knight, it's interesting. Like with the Chariot here, there's definitely this is an energy here around determination and willpower and drive and motivation, enthusiasm, moving forward, like finding the. It's a solar plexus energy, right? But it's also a gut feeling, a gut response to circumstances that makes you want to kind of move forward in a way to. I'm hearing passion. Knight of Wands in reverse here. I feel that, excuse me. Why is the Knight of Wands in reverse? There's still, I feel like it's connected to this quadrant here, which I already spoke on at length earlier in the reading about like remorse and loss and regret. I feel there's something here about confidence. Like even though you understand you're at a turning point and there is this youthful enthusiasm for something new, there is a little bit, just an ever so like slight kind of little bit of, you know, it's a kind of like hesitation or reluctance about really going forward into something. Perhaps because of like maybe some experience, there was like a confidence, like your confidence was bruised, or there was some kind of depletion or diminishment of your energy as a result of some kind of action that you took in the past that may not have had the result that you imagined that you could have had or that you expected to have. So I feel like it's just something small that could be, just illuminated by your own awareness, and that can be kind of transmuted into just pure energy and released from you in a way that will prevent you from like moving towards these new aspirations that I'm feeling are here. It's interesting, you have this, okay, so you have the Moon in reverse and the King of Cups in reverse. And there's the Chariot here. The Chariot is technically the Cancerian card of the tarot. Moon is also for me very Cancerian energy, although it's often also associated with Pisces. But seeing these two very watery, very emotional cards both in reverse here, I feel that there's something, and it could also be connected to this, again, back to this kind of issue here that you may be still like lingering along a little bit too long in the memory with. But there's something here about emotional, I'm hearing purge. Let me see what else I can get there. I'm not sure there. I'll come back to those. Let's have a look at what's at the bottom of the deck here. Four of Wands reversed. Strength reversed. Star reversed. Seven of Swords reversed. And there's also Queen of Cups reversed. I'm going to take her as well. Perhaps what some of this is, like now seeing the Seven of Swords come out here in this part of the reading, along with Strength reversed and Star reversed and Queen of Cups reversed, I feel that there is some kind of, like whatever this is that we spoke about, this Five of Cups reversed with the Ace of Swords, it could be bigger than I had first thought. Like at first I was reading this as some kind of like minor disappointment that is like as yet still unflushed, right? There's still something lingering there. There's some residual regret, remorse, disappointment that you haven't quite packed away yet. And now that I'm seeing all these extended cards, I feel that the topic may be something a lot bigger than was at first suggested here by this quadrant, because there's so many cards here that are talking about a loss of hope, a loss of strength, maybe a betrayal, some sadness, emotional stress that has yet to be I mean, look, King of Cups reversed, Queen of Cups reversed, Moon reversed, Star reversed, Strength reversed. I mean, what's going on here, Virgo? Like, I don't know. I don't want to seem, I don't want to sound dismissive. Obviously, there's something big here that has yet to be really processed and understood. It's so interesting. I've never looked at these two cards together at the same time. So we have the Star, which is number 17, and Strength, which is number 8. So Star is technically a number 8 too if you add the 1 and 7. But look at the images on these two cards. Like the angle of the head is kind of the same. The posture that they're holding, even though they're like, you know, there's different symbols in the cards, but there's something so similar about the energy, the way the figures in these two cards are drawn, and the way they're kind of both like, one's holding one's like kind of holding the lion, the other character in the Star is holding the two jugs. So, and so these two cards are there. You have potentially a Leo and an Aquarius here out of these two cards. So there's, you know, usually I don't refer to the astrological signs because these are general readings, and I don't want people to get stuck on like, oh, that person or that person. You'll know who I'm talking about when we pull these kind of cards and they're talking about people. But what I feel these are, both being in reverse, I feel that there is something here that, and I don't want you to feel like I'm being dismissive of your feelings. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to disregard your experience or try to make you feel like it's not as important as you feel it is. But the point is, whatever your experience was or is that was painful or disappointing or something that you have regret or remorse over, the point here is that if you don't work on actually like striving to understand and accept and flush that, you're still just living in the pain of that experience, even though it's long past, right? So the emotional distress that you feel now, or the suffering that you feel now, is something that you actually have a lot more control over than you think. That's why I feel the strength is saying here. Like, you have the capacity and the ability to work with the energies that you're feeling, to actually like really purge and purify and heal from your experience. But if you're not putting the effort into actually really genuinely strive to understand your experience and strive to forgive and accept and move on, you will still hold this energy of that experience, and it'll just keep moving forward with you and almost taint every experience that you could have from this point out. And that's not to diminish your experience. That's not to say that what someone else's action or behavior was not shitty. I'm not absolving a person from how they may have behaved towards you, which was offensive or abusive or incorrect or douchey in any way. That's not what I'm saying. But the point I'm making here is, unless you actually resolve the emotions within you, and it's not about reconciling with the person, it's not even about forgiving that person or like really absolving them from their poor behavior. It's about how you manage your own energetic body so that you are free from the suffering of that experience, and it doesn't keep carrying forward with you into every other experience that you have. Because there is a kind of energy here of like a kind of taintedness that bears a specific energy stamp that is likely to generate similar types of experiences because you're still holding a kind of frequency. I hope that's making sense. If there's something around a betrayal here, or a dishonesty, or some kind of act of manipulation or lying or stealing or something along those lines, I think it's important to acknowledge that you didn't deserve that. You know, like as I said, if you forgiving someone or accepting and purging from a situation doesn't mean that the person who wronged you didn't do something bad. It's more about the energy that you maintain in your emotional body, mental, physical, spiritual body, so that you're not, because when there's residue of a certain emotional experience that hasn't been purged properly, your spirit is going to strive to create situations that match that frequency again, so that you can actually purge that energy that's been kind of that is being stored in the body because you haven't flushed it out. You understand what I'm saying? So again, it's not about like letting someone off the hook for what they did. It's about letting yourself off the hook for what someone else did, right? You can't keep carrying this baggage around, because you're going to generate situations that are similar, so that your body can actually trigger a release that will help that stuck energy move out, because it doesn't belong there. It needs to move on. I hope this is clear, Leo. I feel that this is it for the general reading. I'm going to move on now and take the Voyager deck, shuffle again to give you a higher octave reading. Just check over here, make sure I got everything. I do really like this Wheel of Fortune here, and this part of the reading, the Nine of Swords with the Three of Cups, the Hangman, Wheel of Fortune, like this part of the reading, and even the top of the spread, I really like the energy that I'm feeling here with this turning point sensation of like things really shifting, and almost in a way where like it could potentially be like night and day compared to, I mean, if you've been having a hard time the first part of the year, and I feel like a lot of people have been really not having the most easiest time, there is definitely a shift here. There is definitely a shift here. And your endurance and your patience and your consistency it's being rewarded here by a kind of, exponential kind of supportive energy of like the wind at your back. Something's changing. And as I said, there's like movement of different people. There's kind of like a changing over of like a shift change. I just kind of saw this image there of a bunch of people clocking out their time, like time stamping their card and leaving the building, and like a whole new shift of people coming in. That's kind of what it feels like here. It's like a total changeover of influences and energies in a really beneficial way. So let's take a look at the Voyager deck here. I'm going to shuffle again. Please take a moment here to, again, center yourself, check in with your higher self, send your energy over into the deck and ask your higher self to pass on any messages through me that you need to hear about this time period to help you on your way. So the higher octave reading is designed to provide insight as to what's happening on a karmic and spiritual level. It's designed to help us understand what forces are at play and how we can collaborate and cooperate with the energies that we are experiencing to make the most out of the lessons that we're being dealt at this time. So let's see what insight we can gain from this Voyager deck. Okay. Sage of Wands reversed, crossed by the Hermit. Magician reversed. Two of Wands reversed. Woman of Crystals reversed. Man of Cups reversed. So there's that King energy again with the Cups cards, both there and there. Eight of Wands reversed. Star upright. So now your star is up. Hanged Man again. So there's a few repeating cards. Ace of Wands also you had in the previous reading. Hierophant reversed. The Sun reversed. Child of Wands. And the Emperor. So again, more major arcana cards, quite a few repeating. I feel that what's here, it's a similar kind of energy. Just give me a second here. I want to really tune in. Six of Crystals in reverse at the bottom of the deck. I'm hearing confidence. Sense of self. What I'm feeling here is with some of these cards down here is that the ability to resolve and release some of that energy that we were talking about will require you to zoom out a little bit and kind of take a much wider perspective on the situation and view things in a different way than you have been before. I'm hearing authority. You have both Emperor and Hierophant in your reading, so that feels to me like there is a kind of, and with the Hermit as well, actually that feels connected. So look at the colors as well from these three cards. This is feeling to me like there is the part of the lesson that you're being awarded here or offered is how to really be at the seat of your own authority and your own power, and how to be independent in a way that is much more courageous and empowered and what's the word? It's like solid feeling, you know, like really grounded, really solid, really stable, really independent in your own personal power, in your own authority. And if in the past you may have, I mean, if this story that I've been describing earlier is about some kind of person who's maybe been a little domineering and a bit like kind of chipping away at your confidence and sort of trying to undermine your personal power, there is like a story here that could say, you know, there's something to be really understood and collected from that experience in a way that can actually be really beneficial to you if you look at things from a different perspective. You know, maybe you had a really difficult time with an individual, could have been like a father person or a partner, and any other kind of character from an authority, whether it's like a school teacher or someone that, you know, has a kind of position of authority over you and may have made you feel a certain way that was like a little diminishing, right? But maybe they showed you a lot about where your personal power really is and where your strength really is. And maybe it's time for you to kind of like shift the dynamic of that relationship and like stand up in your own authority and in your own power and your own independence and be a little bit more brave and solid and like let your light shine a little bit brighter without feeling like you're gonna like outshine someone else. Like, it's okay to be you. It's more than okay to be you. It's really necessary. We need you to be you. So other cards here that are sort of providing some insight is the Two of Wands here. It seems like there, and this, seeing the star come out again is significant, a repeating card. There is definitely an energy with the Two of Wands here with the star. This feels like purification, cleansing, release, and restoration. There again, there's like fire energy needing to be kind of activated and charged up to, you know, overcome any sensation of lack or less than, or any kind of diminishing energy that may be making you feel a loss of personal power or a loss of confidence. There's also that you have the Page of Wands here. There was another page, I think. Page of Wands. You had pages in the previous reading. You had the Page of Pentacles in this first spread here. I feel that the energy of the page in this reading is bringing this kind of encouraging energy towards wanting to remind you that you need to always maintain a sense of motivation within for whatever it is that you're facing, and strive to genuinely seek to understand with greater awareness what the true issues that you're facing. You know, rather than view your circumstances from the perspective of what someone has done to you, or what someone is doing to you, or how someone is making you feel. It's important to look at it from the perspective of how that person is showing you who you really are, or showing you how you really feel about yourself. Okay? And that's a much more empowered space to maintain how you approach relationships and life in general, from this perspective of like understanding that everyone has the potential to be your teacher, and all the information that you receive through your feedback loop of your interactions with people is actually just showing you about yourself. And it's from that place that you can start to imagine life as being more like a hologram or a simulation, and actually start to realize how much authority and control you have about how things play out if you make adjustments within. So this is a recalibration, it's a purification, it's an understanding of like how other people make you feel is less about what they did to you and more about how you're allowing certain dynamics and frequencies to play out, and realizing how much ability you have to change that by adjusting within and recalibrating your energy within, changing your thoughts and behaviors, changing the way you speak internally and externally. It's going to create an entirely different matrix of reality in front of you, one which you will enjoy a lot more if you have been feeling some of this remorseful, regretful, victimization energy. So what else is here? Again, Ace of Wands is coming out in your reading. You had that in the previous spread, again in the hopes and fears position. Here it's in the outcome. Again, I'm feeling this as a kind of like reminder that your spirit wants to initiate a sense of like enthusiasm and vitality for the task at hand, you know, like a way of like firing you up. Again, fire energy. I feel like there is a need for a little bit more of like a solar plexus activation, also with the sun here and the strength card, like a need for greater vitality and a greater fire activation energy to kind of really stimulate and move you forward to kind of want to be more proactive about the task at hand, about this kind of purification, about this like movement of chi, of like shifting your vitality, of releasing it, maybe some stagnant emotional energy that is still playing on you, playing out on your day-to-day experiences. You have a much greater ability to shift that and change that than you realize. And I think that's the point of this reading, is that your guides want you to know that you have a much greater ability to change the landscape of your reality, of your experience, than you may currently know. So really activate your fire energy. Work to kind of really grow and activate your enthusiasm. That's also the Chariot energy here. Like this, the Chariot and the Child of Wands here called Seeker in this deck. This is very much like a an earnest drive towards like the desire to understand, the desire to grow, the desire to become self-realized, the desire to be more of a co-creator and less of a passive witness of an experience, right? So let's see what else is here. Ace of Wands was there. Magician in the crowning card position of the reading in reverse. And you have the Man of Cups again here in reverse position. That's the same as this card that you had in the crowning position in the previous spread. Both in reverse. So I do feel like there is still some need to understand that your emotional state is in your hands. It's in your hands. Ace of Wands, Hierophant reverse. The Magician reverse here is saying to me that you have the potential to realize, and I've been saying this the whole reading, you have the potential to realize how much more of the experience that you're having is in your hands. Like, you have the ability to control the way things play out. You have the ability to change the way you are operating through life by understanding that maybe some events occurred that affected your confidence and made you feel a certain way. But the purpose of those experiences, they were designed specifically to help you understand your personal power, your personal authority, and where to draw energy from. Magician. Magician knows how to channel energy through him into the manifest world to embody and create the reality that he wants to create. And you have this capacity. Maybe you're yet to totally, fully embody it and realize it. But this is the potential that's in this reading. You have Hangman again, coming out twice in your reading. I feel the message of the Hangman now in both of these readings is what I described at the beginning. I was seeing the eagle in this card here, in the Emperor card, when I first started speaking about perspective. And I feel that's really the message here of the Hangman in this reading, is that it's a reminder to just look at things from a different way than you have been in order to create a shift. Because I feel there's like a stagnancy. There's a little bit of a stagnancy, and you have the ability to really make a very vivid and rapid transmutation of that stagnancy if you just take the time and be willing to look at something from a different perspective, right? Like turn things around, zoom out, look at it from different angles, and you will be able to understand things in a way that completely changes the past. Actually, we have the ability to change the past. That's the important thing to remember about memory. You know, memory is mutable. And it's important to be realistic about the way things happen. If you're not remembering things as they actually are, then you have this kind of skewed, twisted timestamp of what you're feeling now based on how you remember things. But actually, if you remember things correctly and change your perspective on the way you view that experience, everything's going to be different. The tipping point is in your hands. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Six of Crystals reversed, Four of Cups reversed, the Tower and the Six of Cups. So what I'm feeling here is, again, more of this, like, it's kind of a similar feeling from the previous reading with the extended cards. There is this feeling of like, you haven't kind of filed things away correctly. There's a lot of unexpressed emotion here. You have Four of Cups, which is called anger in this deck, and you have Six of Cups, which is called sorrow. So emotional stagnancy here from unexpressed emotion, unexpressed disappointment, sadness, loss, anger, confusion, right? But maybe it's not necessarily about actually expressing those emotions, but rather changing the way you look at the situation so those emotions actually just neutralize and dissolve, because then they actually aren't realistic reactions to what really happened. And again, I don't mean to be disrespectful or disregard any difficult experience that you may have had. I'm striving here to pass on messages that will help you evolve and purify and release yourself from any kind of bondage that is keeping you tied to the past. The Tower card here, with these outcome extended cards, is saying that in this situation, the way I'm seeing this Tower card in the context of your reading is that you may be attached or holding on to the way you view yourself as a result of certain experiences, and that's what it is that you need to let go of. Because there is definitely a sensation here of being identified with your experiences in a way that kind of makes you understand who you are, but actually that may be a kind of not just false, but a very limiting take on your person. Right? So strive to release your attachment or any kind of identification you may have to experiences from the past that you feel are unresolved. Because that's kind of keeping you a little bit stuck in certain ways. There's definitely emotional stagnancy here. And I feel that part of that, it's a little bit of a stubborn energy I'm feeling with this Tower. Like the universe really wants to shake you up. And if you don't really like strive to work on these things that I'm describing here, you might find yourself in situations that seem like that's not fair to happen to you. But it's because energy really needs to move. Like don't let this stagnancy of this emotional stubbornness keep you stuck too long in something that could prevent you from opening up to a much higher frequency of light and love and experience, which is like what I described in that first part of the reading with the Three of Cups, like this kind of opening to abundance and prosperity and people in a way like that's waiting for you if you can do this work of really releasing yourself from this kind of like this kind of remorse and regret and stuckness in the past. All right, I hope this is clear. You know, I get it. Like it's easy to take situations personally when things happen and they hurt, because it's like touching on very sensitive points, right? But I'm hearing resiliency. So I think that you may need to really understand how much tenacity and how much strength and how much resiliency that you have, and let that shit bounce off. Like let it roll off. Let it roll off. Let it give you more than it takes away from you, okay? I think I'm going to leave it there for you guys. Virgo, I hope you found that insightful. I hope there's some things in there that you can work with. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. Thank you so much for your subscription. Please share this video with someone if you found it helpful and if you think someone else will also gain some beneficial insight from it. And I'll see you in the next reading.